Check 1, 2. Return to people.
What's happening, everybody? We are back to Return to People. And today's guest is a true pioneer in the world of impact investing. She's not just the founder and chief investment officer at Nia Impact Capital. She's on a mission to transform finance into a force for good. Imagine democratizing access to investment opportunities that prioritize inclusion and sustainability. In this episode, we'll explore how Kristin is reshaping capitalism and championing diversity in leadership. Get ready to be inspired. Please welcome Kristin Hull.
Hey, Kaleem. So nice.
Kristin, thank you. Sorry, I just have to get that in there. How you doing, Kristin?
Awesome. Happy to be here.
Yes.
Yeah, excited to join today.
Yes, and we got it hooked up. I noticed that you're chilling, and it looks like, are you in a campsite? Where are you right now? It looks great.
It looks like I'm in a campsite. I live in a log cabin in Berkeley, California.
Unbelievable. I think a lot of our listeners are a little bit jealous.
They might be. It is. Every Zoom screen I get asked, where are you?
Paneling was the stuff. I'm pretty sure we're basically the same generation. And I just remember, oh gosh, the paneling on Mount Desert Drive in Maine where I grew up. I just can't forget about it. Anyway, thanks again for joining us. Lots of stuff to get into. But before we get into, what you're doing professionally, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you landed where you are today?
Sure. It's been an interesting journey. There aren't that many women that are asset managers. So to have landed in this position, I actually started my career as an educator, and I was really interested in transforming systems and working in classrooms and in schools.
Oh.
And yet my dad also started a trading firm in our garage, as one does in California. So I ended up working with him, and it was a way to connect with him. And I was learning about puts and calls and derivatives and pork bellies and options and trading from a really early age. So it wasn't until later where I combined my family business career and my formal education and said, we really need to make investing easier. And for those that want to invest for their environmental values, for the world that they want to see, for their social justice values, we needed to make it easier. And so that's when I founded Nia Impact Capital. And Nia means intention and purpose.
Oh.
So we are investing with intention and purpose into the economy that will work for everyone.
Super interesting. So I have to go back a little bit. You're actually Dr. Hull. You're actually Dr. Hull.
Yes, I am.
Obviously people can look on your LinkedIn, but where did you go to school and what was your PhD in?
Okay. Yeah. I have studied formally education, and my PhD is in education, urban education, working for social change from UC Berkeley.
Not a coincidence. Not a coincidence that you moved into Nia Impact Capital. So can you tell us all a little bit about what is it that Nia Impact Capital is trying to solve? What is it that you guys specifically do?
Yeah. So for those people that are sitting on the sidelines because Wall Street looks either confusing or evil to some people, we're making it easier to understand, making things more transparent, building concentrated portfolios in public equity stocks. So keeping daily liquidity so you can invest today and leave tomorrow if you want to do something different. But really making an opportunity for those from their 401k, their retirement accounts, all the way to their investment accounts, to their everyday accounts, making it easier to invest for the financial returns that they want, as well as their environmental or social justice values. So all of our companies have diversity in leadership. That's one criteria. And then all of the companies we choose have revenues coming from one or more of our solution themes. And so we're really aligning the portfolio with those companies that will capitalize on the transition to the next just and sustainable economy.
Goodness. I mean, this sounds like you all trying to save the world. I mean, it sounds like you're doing some really impressive things. And, forgive me for maybe being just not as into the investment space, but are there a lot of firms out there that make investments based on social causes like you? I mean, like, you're not a nonprofit, but it seems like you are a mission-driven company. How does that work? I mean, it's fascinating.
So thanks for the question, because we are mission driven. Nia means intention and purpose. And so we infuse intention and purpose into the portfolios that we build, as well as the way we build our own firm and our own, employees, and the way we relate to each other. And then just when you said, forgive me for not knowing about finance, I just want to name that because there's a lot of us that get left out, and there's very few states that even require a financial literacy course to graduate from high school. I live in California, and California is not one of them. I believe there might be 11 that do require that. So most of us don't end up learning how to invest. And unless you've learned that at home, there's very few places. It's not something that people learn in college, and most often you're not learning it at the workplace. And yet in this country, we need to invest and save for our own retirement. And so it's a pretty critical skill. So that's part of what we're up to, is trying to make it more appetizing, easier for people to jump off the sidelines and really get into investing.
Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to say, shout out to Dad. Shout out to Dad for creating, and would you say, a trading firm in the garage and getting you interested in this. And then shout out to the university and you for following social impact, because it seems to me that you are unique in this aspect of, an investment firm that's investing for good. Investing for good. I don't know if that's your tagline, but maybe it just came up. Anyway,
we have investing in purpose is one of our taglines. And so we are pretty unique in that women make up 0.7% of the asset managers of the 84 trillion that are out there, women-owned firms.
Well, can you can you repeat that again? Because I feel like that this
isn't that crazy?
Is a clip. I need you to just repeat that again, because I thought I heard something. Can you just repeat that stat that you said?
So Nia is really unique because being women-owned, women-led firms make up 0.7%, so less than 1% of the $84 trillion that are managed out there.
Listeners and viewers, 0.7%. So I feel like Nia Impact Capital is a little unique. Sounds like it.
Right. And then those doing this on purpose, looking for companies that are baked with purpose, and that their revenues are driving the impact. And as their revenues increase and as these companies grow, their positive impact increases. When we combine that number with people of color led firms, we get to 1.3%. So literally there's one demographic of who's running the economy, and we really do get the economy that we invest into. So to have different types of people making those investment decisions, we will actually have a different economy, more likely to be more sustainable, more inclusive, and more regenerative.
Oh, you hear that, everybody? Get out there. We need to diversify investments. It's kind of comical. Right. Diversify your portfolio, but we kind of need to diversify the industry, and Nia Impact Capital is doing that. So we're here to talk about the remote employee experience, how you manage a company without necessarily requiring people to be in an office. And that's why we're returning to people. We're not returning to the office. We're returning to people, Kristin. Yes. When
100%
did Nia Impact Capital make the decision to embrace remote work? So give us kind of like the timelines, because like everybody thinks remote work started in 2020. So when did you all make the decision?
Yeah, so 2020. I mean, the decision was made for us.
Nothing wrong with it.
It was. And we had a few emergency days because we're in California and we can have fire season. So we had an emergency preparedness plan, and we had several days here and there before the pandemic where we actually had to have staff working from home. So we knew what that was.
Prior to the pandemic, you used remote work as kind of like a disaster contingency planning. So if something were to happen, like fires, like you were just talking about, that's when you would, okay, we've done this. we got to go straight into remote work mode. So you had a little experience with it, is what I'm gathering.
Tiny bit.
Okay.
Tiny bit. We did.
All right.
Yes. Yeah. And we had days where the AC in the building wasn't working. And I was like, let's just go home,
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Sometimes we just go out for ice cream though. So that was interesting, because we definitely had, Taco Tuesdays and we'd go out for happy hour together when we were together. And yet the pandemic hit. And the great part about that for us was we were really growing. We were having a great year in 2020 because when you're investing in purpose-driven companies who actually invest in their employees, when the pandemic hit and many businesses had to shift, there were so many uncertainties. When you have loyal employees, you end up doing better. And that's what happened with our portfolio. So we actually really outperformed the market significantly in 2020. So it was time for us to grow and we needed to do hiring. And so because of that, we started hiring remote. And that ended up really benefiting us because just being an asset management firm in Oakland, California was really a standout. So we were able to attract talent from across the country and beyond.
Okay. So the pandemic kind of motivated you all to move to that fully remote thing. So kudos to you all. So obviously during those transitions, everything isn't, sister used to say unicorns and rainbows. So
Right.
What's your biggest challenge that you've had with the remote employee experience?
I would say, really finding a way to gel as a team. We don't have Tuesday tacos anymore, that kind of a thing. So just getting creative about how we're going to do team time, how we're going to share and kind of emulate that water talk or that coffee talk, so in between the Zooms, what does that look like and trying to find time for that?
Yeah.
And then also developing talent. That is, even for myself, I'm a lifelong learner, very curious. But before, I was in the office with a lot of younger people. So if I had a tech thing or a new computer thing or a new app or whatever, I would literally just scoop my chair up into somebody else's and we would literally be on the same screen and I would learn that skill right away. I'd learn that new tab. So for my own learning, I really enjoyed being around a lot of younger people in the office.
Plus the verbiage,
so developing talent.
To learn how to communicate all the new words. I don't know them all, but the Riz and I don't know all these new words. You got being around the young people at least help you understand how to communicate for sure. So engagement, staying connected. Roughly how many employees do you all have when you can kind of transition to remote, or do you have now? So roughly how many employees?
So we're at about 14 full-time and then contract workers and other part-time.
Awesome. So when you were in office, you must have been able to, hey, let's go out for a lunch or let's do a Taco Tuesday really easy. And then when you kind of transition to remote, you're like, oh, snap, we got to figure out like how we can still, build those connections. So now that you've been able to hire people in different locations, do you have a lot more people outside of Oakland now?
We do. We have Florida, New York, Boston, Chicago, Oklahoma, Texas.
Congratulations. So yeah, engagement's always tough. I think what we've heard from a lot of guests is just being intentional about that, planning that stuff way out in advance has been really the only way to ensure those things happen. Because, trying to do things ad hoc are really difficult because there's so many different schedules and you have to deal with time zones, I'm sure. That's been really interesting.
I have to say that's an advantage because I'm on California time. So I'll get up and our team has started. They have already advanced some projects, and then when I sign off at the end of the day, I'll say, oh, hey, let's work on this or how's that going or whatever. And they will have made progress before I even wake up. So that's pretty interesting. I would say it really has expanded. It's been a benefit for our team.
Yeah.
We have clients on the East Coast and the West Coast. So having people available in those time zones has been really great. You did ask about challenges though, and I'll just say hiring. You want to see somebody. So we definitely have expanded and gotten creative about our hiring. And hiring is hard in person or remote.
Yeah.
And so just really making sure that you're trying to have as many different types of experiences when you can't take that person to lunch. We do a virtual lunch and we send them, a certificate to get lunch.
That's a great idea. I love that for the interview process. I mean, I've heard people, that's the first time I've heard anyone do that during the interview process. Obviously, we've heard people, send out, gift cards or whatever to their employees and they have lunch. But really great idea on that. Definitely going to use that, Kristin, and going to share that with all the people that are listening. Okay. So you've talked about a couple of challenges and you hinted at some of your biggest successes, but can we kind of what would you say has been your biggest success since you all have embraced remote work?
Yeah, I would say the ability to hire across time zones and just to be able to attract talent are because of the nature of our business and that we really are looking to profit from purpose, it does attract, some pretty dedicated people. So we're not just making widgets. We are really looking to make social change and environmental sustainability.
Yeah.
And so the people we're able to attract to that type of mission are pretty dedicated. And so we're very fortunate in that way. And it's really amazing to be able to have, we have a operations person that works in Oklahoma.
Okay.
And she's able to live there with her family and do her life and also be part of this mission, which is pretty exciting. So I think that's probably one of the greatest aspects of working remotely is just being able to have talent. And then, of course, having them have the balance.
Yes.
I really love that they don't have a commute. That, as an employer, that makes me really happy that they aren't spending any extra time, dedicated to this.
Good for you. The hiring thing 100% is such an advantage, So attracting talent and being able to hire, even if it's in a region, because a lot of people think, oh, if we're fully remote, we have to hire all around the world. No, that's not true. It's not true. You could have a fully remote company, but like restrict maybe in New England or the Southeast or the Western time zone, but you went the whole United States. And because you're mission driven, I think that's something that I never really expected when we were kind of creating Blend as nonprofits and mission driven organizations like you guys. You're looking for people who are really driven by your cause. And in order to find those people, you have to cast a wider net. And those people, I'm sure, like you said, you have someone in Oklahoma, you have Boston, those people exist who align with your mission, who are going to work harder just because they believe in what you're doing. So it's really cool to hear you talk about that side of it and the fact that you're a mission-driven business. It makes a lot of sense. A lot of nonprofits out there, same thing that we've talked to. I never thought that the nonprofit space would take so much advantage of remote work to find those types of people. So really cool. Really cool.
Yeah,
all right. If you could get into your DeLorean and hop in a time machine or get into, a different type of time machine. Oh, hot tub time machine. You could hop in the hot tub and then the hot tub time machine and go back to your early Kristin self, your early professional days, maybe right out of college. What would you give yourself for advice? What piece of advice would you give to yourself regarding the employee experience?
Well, that's a great question. And I would say really thinking outside the box and not paying attention to the status quo, but really paying attention to what works.
Explain.
And connecting on a human level, we all need that. And so creating those experiences. And also, I'm still working on this, is getting out of the way so that the rest of the staff can really shine. And so both, it's that balance of being able to mentor and to bring up and then also to empower and to really have people have ownership of their work and the direction, that they want to see a certain project go.
That's interesting. Now you mentioned status quo. You said don't pay attention too much to the status quo. What do you mean by that? Because I think I have an idea, but I'd love to know.
So especially in an office design, which of course we're remote now, so this doesn't apply, but does everyone need their own cubby? Do they work better in pairs or over a project table? Or do you have to work a certain hours before you take a break? Or could you be eating while you're doing that meeting, or could you be standing up and doing yoga stretches while you're listening to that presentation? Can we really bring our full selves, literally our body, mind, spirit, to the situation? I think most office buildings and work we think of as pretty austere outside of nature.
Right.
So
Right.
and you focus better because you're in a cubby. Maybe you could focus better with a beautiful tree outside your window and, having some light and some noise from the birds happening, or before we did go remote, we worked in a co-working space and we had, a dance party, like 3-minute dance party, where everybody got up, move their booty for 3 minutes and it wasn't distracting. It was awesome. Exactly. Literally bringing some life and some soul into the workplace.
Super cool.
So, and then also unlikely allies. I think, when you're building something that really needs to be big, you really need, or in our case, to empower employees to have those conversations. And we really believe that change happens one conversation at a time. So being able to enable those, and that can happen, we've gotten pretty creative about the Zoom screen and then also who we invite to events, whether it's virtual or in person, but being able to have those conversations. We actually talk to each one of our companies and we engage with them. So that's another piece of our business that actually got enhanced by being remote, because before the pandemic, it was pretty standard where you'd have to go visit a company. And now all of those engagements have happened remotely. So we are actually much more efficient and we can engage with all of our companies. And so we're making big changes and helping them improve their human capital practices. We used to call it DEI, and now it really is just what are the best business practices to be able to attract, hire, and retain top talent.
Makes sense. Kristin, where can our listeners and viewers find you online on the interwebs?
Our website is probably the easiest place to go, and that is niaimpactcapital.com.
Okay.
And Nia's NIA. It came to us from Swahili. It's also Punjab and Arabic. So niaimpactcapital.com. Okay. We're also on LinkedIn, Facebook, Meta, and Instagram as well. And Instagram, I believe we have an older handle, which is Nia Global Solutions. And that's our flagship product. We now offer 4 different portfolios, though our mutual fund and others are, available on our website.
Great. Kristin, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate it. Lots of great information in this episode. So once again, thank you. To our listeners and viewers out there, please be safe, everyone. Until the next time, I'll talk to you all soon. Peace.